Hey everyone, welcome back, and happy Valentine's Day. Today we're talking about a movie that answers a question nobody asked, but Hollywood bravely answered. What if you were reincarnated and then accidentally started dating your daughter? Yep, that's where we're starting today, because in 1989, audiences were introduced to Chances Are, a romantic fantasy comedy starring Cybill Shepard, Robert Downey Jr., Ryan O'Neal, and Mary Stuart Masterson. And while it didn't exactly become a box office sensation, it also didn't deserve to quietly fade into late-night cable obscurity. Because honestly, this movie's fascinating. It's equal parts sweet, weird, heartfelt, risky, and charming. And despite its premise, it mostly works. The movie opens with Louis Jeffries, played by Christopher McDonald, a guy who is happily married, deeply in love, and about to become a father. And then, within minutes, he gets hit by a car and dies. That's a pretty bold move tonally for a movie that will later include Romcom hijinks. Louis goes to heaven where there is some light cosmic bureaucracy happening, and he's sent back to Earth through reincarnation, except there's a paperwork mix-up, and he comes back remembering his previous life. Fast forward about 2 decades, and Louis is now Alex Finch, played by a very young, very charming Robert Downey Jr. And Alex ends up meeting and dating Miranda, who is Louis' daughter from his previous life. Yes, the movie is aware this is weird. Yes, the characters eventually become aware this is weird. And yes, the movie somehow keeps this from becoming creepy or uncomfortable, which is honestly its biggest magic trick. A huge part of why this works is the cast, because the movie absolutely lives or dies based on whether or not you believe these people emotionally, and thankfully it's stacked with actors who completely commit. Cybill Shepard plays Corinne, Louis' widow, and she grounds the entire movie. She doesn't play this for cheap jokes or sitcom energy. She plays it like this is a real woman who lost the love of her life and built a new life out of that loss. Then you've got Ryan O'Neal as Philip, Louis' best friend, who has basically spent 20 years pining after Corinne from a respectful distance, which is both noble and probably emotionally exhausting. He brings this really gentle, patient sadness to the role that makes you root for him even when the plot keeps throwing reincarnated husbands into his path. And then there's Robert Downey Jr., who is effortlessly watchable even early in his career. He brings a mix of nervous energy, charm, confusion, and sincerity that makes you buy into a character who is trying to process memories from another lifetime while also just trying to have a normal relationship. And you can see the seeds of the actor he would become later, the fast delivery, the emotional vulnerability, and the humor that feels natural instead of punchliney. Mary Stuart Masterson also deserves credit for making Miranda feel like a real person instead of just a plot device, which is extremely important considering how easily this premise could have gone off the rails. And here's where things get a little interesting. Chances Are did not bomb in a dramatic headline-grabbing way, but it also didn't succeed. The budget was around $15-16 million. The box office landed around the $15-16 million mark, which in Hollywood accounts to basically not much. It didn't crash and burn, but it didn't become a hit either. It just kind of came into theaters and left. Part of it's understandable because this is a very hard movie to pitch in one sentence without sounding like you're describing a joke or a therapy session. But critics were actually fairly kind to it. Some pointed out that the movie works because it focuses on emotional truth rather than obsessing over whether the premise is logically airtight. And that's the key, because this is not a movie you watch for plot realism. This is a movie you watch because you want to feel something warm, charming, and maybe a little bittersweet. The movie also had a surprisingly strong musical legacy thanks to the song After All, which got major award nominations and ended up being one of the more lasting pieces of pop culture to come out of this film. Not bad for a movie that most people vaguely remember as, wait, is that the one with Warren Beatty or Chris Rock? Watching it now, what really stands out is how sincere it is. The movie is not trying to be edgy or meta or ironic. It just wants to tell a story about love lasting beyond death, about fate being messy, and about how people carry emotional connections across time, even if the universe throws in some extremely complicated paperwork errors. And tonally, it's a little unusual. Sometimes it feels like a high-concept fantasy, sometimes like a late 80s family drama, and mostly like a romantic comedy. But that blend is part of what makes it interesting now. It's very much a movie from an era where studios would occasionally just say, you know what, let's try this weird emotional idea and see if it works. And sometimes that produced movies that feel really unique decades later. Is Chances Are perfect? No. The premise is risky, the tonal balance doesn't always land perfectly, and it definitely requires that you accept the emotional logic over the literal logic. But it is charming, it is well acted, it's heartfelt, and it's a really nice time capsule of late 80s romantic fantasy storytelling before everything had to be either a massive spectacle or hyper self-aware comedy. It's also one of those movies that makes you appreciate how much acting can carry a story, because if this exact script had been done with the wrong cast, it would have collapsed instantly. With this group, it becomes something sweet and memorable and genuinely kind of comforting. And sometimes it's nice to revisit movies that weren't massive hits but also weren't disasters. Just solid, heartfelt stories that tried something unusual. So if you've never seen Chances Are, it's worth checking out if you like romantic fantasies, strong performances, or movies that feel like emotional comfort food from a very specific era of Hollywood. And if nothing else, it's proof that sometimes the weirdest high-concept romantic ideas can still produce something surprisingly heartfelt. And by the way, if you ever start remembering a past life, maybe you do a little genealogical research before you start dating. Are you a fan of Chances Are? Drop me a line down in the comments. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more videos like these. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.